In today's video, I'm going to talk about what Miracle Morning is, why it's been so powerful for me, but why I somewhat disagree with the way that it's advertised. All right, let's go. Alright, so hopefully that little compilation has given you insight into the 6 things that are involved in Miracle Morning. The idea of it is that you do those 6 things before you start your day. So in a generic sense, I found it really powerful for a couple of reasons. I'll go into the individual reasons as to why each one is a good thing to do. But first and foremost, there's something to be said about taking charge of your day. So what I mean by that is, instead of like what I used to do when I used to have a normal job, is kind of get up as late as I could, that I knew that I had enough time to get ready and go to work, and it made your day very reactive as opposed to proactive. And I think taking charge of your day and sort of setting an alarm and getting up and doing something that you know is good for you can do a lot of good things. And so that's why one of the general kind of reasons as to why I find it so powerful. Another reason is that, you know, starting your day off on a good step. You know, because I know that these 6 things are good for me, and I know that they're gonna, I guess it's like it helps me organise my brain, it helps me set up my day on a good trajectory. Bloody hell, Dobby. Hello. Yeah, I did, that's alright, that's alright. God, that dog gave me a right fright. It came pegging past at the speed of light. But yeah, so it helps me set up my day on a good step. I can kind of organise my brain a little bit. I can set up a to-do list. I can make sure that the rest of my day goes well. And I've used this analogy before, but when I used to go to the gym, if I woke up and I ate the right nutrients and the right food, and I rejected all cakes and, you know, things that I knew were bad for me for going to the gym, it meant that when it came to going to the gym in the evening, I knew I'd already sort of set my day up in such a way that I was going to succeed in going. I wasn't going to have any excuses. And it's a similar thing with this miracle morning. You're starting your day off on a good step, and it means that the things that you need to do that day, you're more likely to do rather than abstain from them. So I really like it in that sense, and it helps me stay on the path, if you know what I mean, stay on the good path. Before I go into the individuals, I want to talk a little bit about the way that it's marketed and why I somewhat disagree with that, because the book itself, it talks about the fact that the people that don't get up before 8 a.m. and do these 6 things, you, by doing it, are getting ahead of other people. You're going to be part of the 5% that are going to, you know, do something and make something, and everybody else is asleep and you're up and you're getting it done. And I don't like that comparison thing. I just don't. You know, it's like putting yourself above others, and I don't agree with that. That's sort of like, kind of, in the book, it talks about that, and anything in that self-development kind of category, whether it's Anthony Robbins or whether it's, you know, any of these other self-development books, they can kind of focus on that point where it's like, you know, you need to get yourself ahead of others. If you don't do this, you won't succeed. You need to go above and beyond. And even at work, sometimes, you know, we've had this kind of, well, I remember it was a case of like, do the extra hours and don't worry about getting paid for it. Just do the extra hours and go the extra mile, because it'll put you above everybody else and it'll put you at the front line of maybe getting a promotion or whatever else. And I just think it's taken advantage a little bit, and it's the wrong way, in my opinion, you know, it's just my opinion, of marketing these things. They should be marketed in a way of this is good for you. You know, this is going to help you organise your brain. It's not going to pedestalise you or put you above others. So that's just my little bugbear with it. But anyway, on an individual level, let's start with affirmations. So the reason why I quite like affirmations, I don't do them in a generic sense of like, you know, you are strong, you are loved, you are capable, all this sort of stuff, because they're too generalised. I call mine affirmations / things to remember / goals / whatever else, you know. It's inspiration, quotes that make me think a certain way, and again, it's things that are personal to me right now. So I think with affirmations, it's really important to swap them around, change them, make sure that they adapt as you adapt and as you grow, because some things might need to be on there at one juncture, but then when you've figured that out, or when maybe that's no longer an issue in your brain, or it's something that you remember with ease all of a sudden, it might not need to be on there anymore. So some of mine, I've talked about this previously on the channel, comparison with others, making sure I focus on my own path, not allowing what other people might think or say to deter me from my path. Those are the kinds of things on my affirmations. Remembering that I don't have to have season 4 figured out before I've finished season 1, so focusing on one step at a time, not overwhelming myself. All of these sorts of things are on my affirmations, and they're just gentle nudges. They're just gentle nudges and gentle reminders of why I'm doing this, what I'm doing it for, that I'm doing it for me, my creative outlet, and you know, just to keep me on that path. So we've got meditation. Now, I know a lot of people, me included, used to say that my brain was too busy for meditating, wouldn't ever work for me, and I kind of rejected it because I didn't think it was maybe worth doing. And I have somewhat shifted on that, because I found meditating to be quite powerful to quieten my mind. And this is a good time to sort of say as well that some of these things, although I've set up a routine and a discipline in doing these 6 things every morning, there is something to be said about the fact that sometimes they can be an emergency toolkit. So if you're struggling and your mind won't shut up and you need to just take a moment, it can be quite cool to know that you've got meditating as a tool that you can use in emergencies. You don't have to have a routine around it or do it every day, but knowing that you can do it and quieten your mind and bring yourself back around is quite good. I happen to do it every day. Again, it's sort of like looking at it proactively versus reactively. Sometimes we might need to react to something that's happened in the day and get a meditation on, and sometimes it's nice to just sort of set yourself up in some kind of routine and do it on a daily basis, which is what I do. It is a hard skill. It is a skill that you have to pick up to be able to quieten your brain. I know that these thoughts on day one, because I'm on day 9 now, on day 1 when I was meditating, I know that I had a litany of thoughts entering my mind, and it was really hard to focus on nothing. It was really hard to just calm that voice down, like bring that voice down. And then now on day 9, my meditation this morning was really quite peaceful. I didn't struggle as much, you know. So you do get better at it. It's a skill that you get better at. It's not necessarily something that maybe you can sort of set up a graph and say, oh, this amount of meditating I do equals this much like goodness or this much peace. It, you know, like I say, I meditate each morning and I can't really pinpoint where that's benefiting my life, but I still do it. Maybe it's one of those kind of things where you can't pinpoint it, but you just know that it's doing some good stuff inside your brain, sort of subconsciously or whatever. So that's meditation. Reading is another one. So at the moment I'm reading a book, Lord of the Rings. Never read it, and I quite enjoy a fictional book every now and again. But you can also read non-fiction, and that is also something that is in the Miracle Morning book by Hal Elrod. It's about reading books that are sort of like going to put you ahead of the competition, so to speak. And that would be self-development books, reading other self-development books, broadening your education or your understanding or your learning of certain concepts or ideologies or ways to think. And you know, that can be good. You know, I've read psychology books in the past, I've read self-development books. They can be really, really useful. I've reached a stage where now I feel like I'm consuming less of that stuff purely because I've got enough to be getting on with at my current juncture. I think there can be something where you're taking on board into so much information. Like, we have a wealth of information out there nowadays, and we have people that disagree or agree on how to do things. We have different concepts. If you overwhelm yourself with a whole bunch of stuff, or you keep on finding that books keep on contradicting one another, you won't ever start, because one person says this is the way to do it and another person says this is the way to do it. You kind of have to separate the wheat from the chaff, find what works for you, and then integrate that and implement that into your life without consuming even more information that might sort of take you off that path. So for me personally, I'm deciding to read just some fictional books at the moment, maybe expand my vocabulary. If there's ever any words that I don't quite understand, then I can sort of look up in a dictionary, find out what that means, and there's something good about that as well. And it's always nice to sort of escape into a book a little bit sometimes on a fictional side. You know, it's quite calming and soothing and meditative in and of itself, so I quite like doing that. The other one is visualizations. Now, visualizations I don't actually do. So of the 6 things, I actually only do 5. I guess I do visualize, but I don't do it, I don't sit down and do it purposefully or specifically. I think the idea of visualizations is to, whatever your goals are and whatever it is that you want to do, put yourself in the seat of having done it. Put yourself in the seat of having been there. How's it going to feel? Why, you know, motivate yourself by looking at how you are going to feel once you achieve it, and sort of in a manifesting kind of way, really put yourself in those shoes and use that as a guide and as a motivation for carrying on and sticking the course. So I do that, but I guess I do it kind of sporadically throughout the day, and I do it pertaining different situations. Like if I wake up in the morning and I don't feel like doing Miracle Morning, I envision what it's going to feel like once I've finished it. If I don't fancy filming a video, I envision how I'm going to feel once I've got it out there and it's on YouTube and I'm done for the day, you know. So I guess they do come up, I just don't do them specifically then and there as part of my 6 things. And by the way, I haven't mentioned yet, it's 10 minutes of each, so it takes an hour to do. Another one is exercise. So exercise, you know, we all know why that's good for us. Even doing 10 minutes a day is better than doing nothing. It's a good time to talk about the concept of non-zero days. So another concept that exists in this miracle morning is if you haven't got an hour, do just 1 minute of each. You know, so it'll only take you 6 minutes, do a minute of each activity, and you'll have a non-zero day. And having a non-zero day can be really important. At least you've still done it, at least you've still tried, and you've done what you can given the circumstances of your day. So exercise, obviously, really good for you to move your body. I do it as a little bit of like yoga, stretching as well. I'm 6'6". I live in a van where I can't stand up straight, so it's important that I move my body. It's important that I stretch, and being tall as well, I have limbs that are sort of on the extreme side of tight, hamstrings and things like that. So I make sure that I kind of touch on all of those with yoga, and I do a little bit of working out as well. I have got some kettlebells that I'm meaning to get out, but I haven't yet. So I will do that at some point. But yeah, we all know why exercise is good for us. Start small, start training every day, and so eventually it will become a habit. And the final one is journaling. So that's keeping some form of diary. And again, this is kind of subjective for each person, how you journal, how you write a diary, what you put in it. You know, I guess from my perspective, I talk to myself like in a weird way, you know. At the top of my journal, sometimes I put, well done, day 9, good job Otis, well done for sticking the course, you're doing well. It's almost like a pat on the back kind of thing. And then I also have a to-do list on there. I just have like a little running list of things that I want to do. I also spend that time to read the day before, and if there was anything on my to-do list that I did, I kind of tick it off. And then I organise my brain a little bit as well. If there's any ideas that I've had running around from the day prior or during the course of my miracle morning, sometimes I'm thinking and I just let that explode on the paper. And sometimes some ideas come out, sometimes I have some inspiration, and it's just about getting those thoughts on paper. There's a lot to be said about writing stuff down rather than it just sort of running around in your head. Once you put it down on paper, it kind of does something. It sort of like completes it. Whereas if it's running around your head, it can almost feel like you're constantly trying to remember it. You're constantly trying to juggle all of these things. And having a journal where I can kind of put that all down and get it out of my head, I've found to be really powerful. So yeah, those are the 6 things. That's what Miracle Morning is. I am going to continue doing it for the next 30 days. I'm hoping that that's going to build a habit, and thereafter I'll continue to do it, because I've yo-yoed in and out of doing Miracle Morning for I probably discovered it when I was 28, 29, 30, around that age. I'm 36 now. For 5-6 years, I've juggled between doing it for a month, not doing it for a month, doing it for a month, not doing it for a month, and I always feel infinitely better and more organised in my day when I do it versus when I don't. So I hope you've enjoyed that little deep dive into what Miracle Morning is from a sort of spiritual perspective, because meditation can be maybe put in that bucket, and so can journaling, and so can visualizations. In fact, so can all of it, to be honest. But it really does help. It really does help. If you're struggling with your brain, if you're struggling with life, it can be really good to kind of organize things and structure your day around a really good morning routine that covers some stuff that really is quite good for you. So yeah, I'll wrap it up there, and I shall see you tomorrow for day 10. We're going to be in double digits, baby. Let's go. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.